Sorry, can I clarify something? Can I clarify something here? Because I think this is important. Are you saying to me that according to that the Hebrews and the Israelites and the Christians, yeah, because you're dealing with the Bible, who bun out voodoo and Obeah, are contravening the laws, yeah, their judgment and the assessment of voodoo and Obeah is wrong according to the Bible.
Yeah, because it tells us not to invoke omens or try and speak to the dead. So, like when you guys are doing that, yeah, that's against Israelite laws. Israelites are going to tell other Israelites, don't do that. Get me? But
right.
We're not going to tell the Hamites, but the Hamites can do what they want, though. Like like it's not a law for them.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But I'm saying to you that so as far as you are concerned, there's nothing wrong with voodoo and Obeah according to the Bible.
What? I said nothing wrong with Hamites having their own voodoo or whatever.
Right. So does the Bible condemn voodoo and Obeah?
If an Israelite's doing it, yes.
If an Israelite's doing it. So if a non-Israelite is doing it, then the Bible doesn't condemn voodoo and Obeah.
No. It tells you the Bible.
Let me clarify. Go on.
It tells you that all the nations have their own gods. You get me? Like Yahweh.
Right.
Yahweh is the God of the heaven. You get me? So the God of Israel is the God of the heavens. Yeah.
Right.
Everyone else is worshiping idols and doing omens and stuff. That's what it says.
Okay. And does the Bible have a judgment upon worshiping idols and omens and omens and all that kind of stuff?
For Israelites doing it, yes.
So basically, as far as the Bible is concerned, everybody else can do with the idol thing, and the omens thing, yeah. Everybody else, and that's fine, yeah. In the eyes of God, though, it's only Israel that's not supposed to do those things.
Yes.
Right. So it's all good. Right. So then, say that again.
So like the law was only given to Israel. They've got their own.
So it's fine. So that's what I'm trying to make. So then it's fine with God for man to engage in voodoo and Obeah as long as those people are not Israelites.
Yes, they've got their own stuff to do.
They've got their own stuff to do with it. And are those
as long people... as don't involve us, and as long as you're not involving us in your thing and trying to come against us, go live your life.
So the people them that are practicing voodoo and Obeah are part of the kingdom of God.
The Israelites.
As long as they're not Israelites, So if God considers them to be Hamites and they practice voodoo and Obeah, they're part of the kingdom of God.
Nah, they've enslaved and done damage to the children of Israel. So it's peak.
Right. Okay. So it's not spiritual.
Everybody has to get back there, pay what's the word?
Okay. Well, what I suggest, Ezra, is that a movement begins among my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters and my Christian brothers and sisters or people that adhere to the Bible of all kinds, to tell the people them that are negatively characterizing African spiritual systems, including voodoo, including Obeah, to stop doing it. Because as long as these people are not Israel, then they should be allowed to do what they're doing. Leave them alone. It's fine in the sight of God. Yeah, that's what needs to take place.
That's like
right? And when we see that, and Ezra, when we see that, Ezra, I promise you, I don't even have to speak to the rest of my African brothers and sisters. One second, I'm nearly finished. I promise you, Ezra, that if there begins to be growing evidence of a movement such as that among our Bible adhering brothers and sisters, that the African spiritualists in the world will acknowledge that as a positive development and give credence and complementary overtures to that group of people. I promise you.
No, all right, but Shaka, I'm saying anybody who actually studies the Bible, will know that, you get me, that these laws are only given to Israel. Yeah, and what I'm saying is, it's a good point. You get me? Like, it is a good thing, because all I'm saying to you is, if you can show me one Israelite, teacher that is teaching that Africans and everybody else on the planet has to follow the laws of Israel right now, then Like,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's what they teach. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm asking about the condemnation of African spirituality. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. And African spirit. There's a condemnation of African spirituality. There's a condemnation of Africans in general. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then there's among others, there's a condemnation of some Africans and not other Africans, right? But
there's only condemnation of people. Anyone who comes against us, salvation is being delivered from our enemies. So when people think salvation is Israelites being delivered from their enemies. So anybody who came and delivered us from our enemies, yeah, he brought us salvation. You know what I'm saying? Right. Moses, Maccabee, Messiah. You get me? When he comes back. So like that's what it is, fam. Like if you're one of our enemies, though, yeah, like it is what it is.
Fine. And for the African spiritualists, yeah, we are seeking to deliver ourselves from the condemnation of African spiritual traditions. That's it. Yeah. So so the people them that have negatively characterized, yeah, African spiritual traditions and have created institutions around their demonization. Yeah. We're not just talking about a man said a thing. We're talking about governmental institutions, spiritual institutions, institutions of mass media. Yeah, to name but a few that have targeted African spiritual systems for condemnation, demonization, and persecution. We are seeking to deliver ourselves from the shackles, mental, spiritual, and physical, of such belief systems. And in doing so, the belief systems that have been responsible for imposing that upon us are going to be critiqued for that purpose, for that reason. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and so as long as that is not taking place, then we have no critiques for those belief systems, none whatsoever.
Yeah, I hear that, Annie. But you're gonna have to go and take that to Christians, yeah, and Muslims, and that you can't bring that to Israel.
If you say so, my brother, if you say so, my brother, if we're going to deny the brothers and sisters of who claim to be Black Hebrews who are demonizing African spiritual traditions today,
demonizing Israelites doing it. And is there any Hebrew Israelite campus claiming to want to teach like native Kemites or Hamites or whatever?
No. They don't have to want to teach.
Shaka, try and understand. Shaka, you have to understand something, man. Cause this is the thing. It's like you're just not understanding it. This whole thing is set up for Israelites only. So if it can only condemn Israelites and their behavior following the other nations, it tells us do not follow the Egyptians.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. So when I hear
Israelites following the Egyptians, yeah, then guess what? He's gonna get condemned for that because we ain't supposed to do that.
Totally.
It doesn't say Egyptians can't follow their own thing. It don't say that.
Totally. I hear you, bro. So if a Hebrew brother or sister refers to Africans as filthy, stinking, dirty, pagan idolaters and these kinds of things, that they're wrong then. Yeah? They're wrong.
So, yeah. They are. I agree.
I'm saying then, yeah, that but this is happening, right? So there, I'm prepared to accept that you're in terms of affirming the letter of the law according to the book, yeah, that they're wrong, yeah, for doing so, okay. As far as the school of right, yeah. But the reality is that is happening, yeah.
Shaka, I agree, but now let me speak. Shaka, let me speak. Yeah, just like I agreed, it is happening, yeah, and I admitted it. Clearly, can you also admit that African spiritualists are also being disrespectful to Hebrews and the Hebrew teachings? Can you also admit that?
African spiritualists are challenging the demonization.
No, that's not what I asked, Shaka. Shaka, stop. Answer the question directly.
I am answering your question. African spiritualists.
They're challenging. I said, are they disrespecting?
No. African spiritualists are
challenging. Wow. So there's nobody who subscribes to African spiritualism who disrespects the Hebrews. Nobody. That's what you're saying.
I'm not saying that nobody has ever done it. No.
So
I would not say that there's no African spiritualist brother who has disrespected the Hebrew.
Is it happening? Have you ever seen it happen ever?
No, I haven't. No, right, I've seen.
Chakra has never ever seen a Kemet man disrespect the Hebrews or the Bible. Never seen that. Okay.
No, and the reality is No, I haven't. But I'm just being honest. And the reality is, and the reality is, if one wants to take that, let's say I had seen it. Let's say I had seen it. Yeah.
Lying, you know you've seen it. You know you've actually seen it.
Fine. Let's say, for argument's sake, let's say I've seen it. Let's say I've seen an instance here, or instances of people that come from the Kemetic tradition disrespecting brothers and sisters who claim to be Hebrews. Let's say I've seen that. Yeah. How does that relate to the weight of what it is I'm saying in terms of the demonization of Africa?
You're saying, I'm just saying, both of us, yeah, have got work to do, yeah. Just like how you said, let me speak. It's only like how you said, it's only fair for the people who know better to go and tell the people who are demonizing the Africans, yeah, to stop it. I'm saying it's only fair if you and your side does the same thing.
Yes,
but you're trying to deny it.
So you're saying but you're taking what I'm saying out of the context of what I'm saying. So are you suggesting? So to be clear, are you suggesting that the Hebrew tradition has been demonized in the same way as the?
I never said the same. Did I say the same way, or are you strawmanning again?
I'm asking you a question.
Has it ever happened?
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Being a politician, brother. You know what you're doing.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm asking you what you're doing. But you also know what you're doing. You also know what you're doing. But you also know what you're doing. But you also know what you're doing. But you also know what you're doing. So I am not going to. But Ezra, do not expect me to act as though all things are equal in this dynamic. I never said it's equal. Did I say it's equal? Did I say it's equal? Did I say it's equal? Or did I say it's happening? Did I say it's happening? Okay,
show me. All right, Ezra.
I never said it's equal. You just strawmanning. Let me speak. Yeah, I've never said it's equal. I never made that statement. I said, just like how I admitted it's happening, can you also admit it's happening? And we both agree to go and teach people not to do so. You couldn't even admit that it's happening. So the combo's done. Forget it, man.
Then it's done, innit? But I'm glad that you're not saying that the dynamic is equal on all sides. Because
I never said it.
Yeah, fine. I'm glad that you're not saying that. That's a good point. So then
you're just strawmanning. Why bring up a point? Why bring up a point?
I'm accepting.
I'm not talking about the point I actually mentioned.
I'm accepting that you're not saying that. Yeah? I'm accepting that you're not saying that. Yeah. So that's good. So if you're not saying that, then we can appreciate the context for the conversation that we're having. Then, yeah, that's what we can do. And we can understand.
Let me ask somebody else who's been on the panel.
And we can understand. And we can understand. And we can understand.
Kemetic brothers or black conscience brothers, African spiritualists. Have you ever seen them disrespecting Hebrew?
I'm going to finish the statement that I'm making. And we can understand. And we can understand. Yeah. The conversation that we're having in the context of a long history. Yes. Of demonization and persecution, yes, of people who adhere to African spiritual traditions because of the fact that they adhere to African spiritual traditions. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're not just talking about mere disrespect. We are not just talking about that. We are talking about the institutionalized demonization, condemnation, and
devaluation of the life.
Israelites? So wait there. When you're bringing that to Israelites, and you told me to go tell me, was he telling me about the institutionalized? Is that what he's talking about? Have Israelites got any institutions? Stop remixing your arguments and being a politician.
No, but he's saying the backing. Hold on, Ezra, one sec. Ezra, you have to remember, it's not a giant leap here to come from the biblical Christian tradition to be where Hebrew Israelites. That's not a big jump, is it?
Now, first he's talking about the disrespect, and now he's trying to talk about the institutions and stuff like that. Why would he come to me and tell me to go and deal with my people when he's talking about institutions? Like,
because the institution is the bedrock with which they have that confidence still.
What institutions the Israelites have set up against Africans? Which one?
No. I'm saying they're within the framework. So what that means is, bro.
Forget the framework. He says stop.
Where are they doing it? They're doing it mainly in America, which is a blooming white anti-black Christian nation that just enslaved the same people we're talking about, bro. So obviously there's an institution that supports that flipping viewpoint, because the blacks that they're talking to over there are going to be deep in the Bible any blasted way. Do you get me? So it's not a big jump. They've still got the support with that Christian biblical viewpoint. That's the whole flipping point.
But that's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So
yeah,
why
bro,
would you?
I hear what you're saying, but you're not hearing what he's saying.
So why, Isa, I'm going to ask you the same question. Why not address what I'm actually talking about instead of straw manning?
I'll be honest. I had to mute up and do something for 10 minutes.
Because I'm addressing the demonization of African spirituality, and I won't allow. But my point cannot be confined to whatever it is you choose to focus on. If I'm talking about the demonization, Ezra, really and truly, like, just shouting at man is not going to allow us to have a right. So let's stop it.
Ezra, I think we have to accept if Shaka is not going to deal with the topic, bruv, then you just have to say you can't talk to Shaka about the topic.
It's not
that. I have made a point about the demonization of African spirituality. I didn't just bring in the institutionalization point just now. It's a consistent point that I make all the time. Yeah, that's what.
Why would you tell me to go?
That's standard. Yeah.
But Ezra, I am not just talking to you. So if you choose to take
in conversation with me, we just had a conversation about going.
If I speak about the demonization of African spirituality, and you choose to take,
I'm going to speak in a second.
And you choose to take one thing out of it and try to pin me down to that one thing. Don't expect me to do that. That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Listen. I'm going to speak now. I'm going to speak now. Me and Shaka Raj just had a conversation, and he said to me that I should be going and teaching the Hebrew Israelites that are disrespecting and demonizing African spirituality. That's wrong. Get me? And I said I can agree with that. Yeah. Then I turned around and said, can you also agree that Hebrews are being disrespected by African spiritualists and chemic guys all over the place? Yeah. And can you agree to also go and deal with them? He denied it happened. And now from there, it's just on this strawman after strawman after strawman.
No, he said he accepts it, but not to the degree, apparently. He accepts it, but not to the degree. Apparently, he accepts
we don't accept it at all, Isa. He says it's not happening. He's never seen it, ever.
What I actually said was,
he said he's never ever seen it.
Let's hear him.
What I said is, I've not seen it.
Okay. All right, so you've never, hold on, so Shakra, you've never seen people coming from an Afrocentric point of view undermining so-called Abrahamic faiths and basically putting them in a sellout box. Is that what you're saying?
The sellout box. As
in you're following the religion of the enemy, innit? The religion of the enslaver.
That happens, definitely.
Yeah, that's what Ezra's saying. That's what Ezra's saying.
Exactly.
This is fundamentally why.
Disrespectful, yes. That's disrespectful. So now, I'm saying now, that we have been indoctrinated into spiritual traditions that have demonized African spirituality, and the people that have formed African spiritual traditions, that are forming African spiritual communities, are challenging.
Who's playing that? Who's that? Who's playing that music?
The people that are coming into African spirit. You know what it is that you are telling me now, that it's wrong for African.
It's not you lot, bro. I was just explaining this point. Yeah.
No, what's happening at the moment is that African spirituality can be demonized, but African spiritualists cannot critique or reject the schools of thought that have demonized African spirituality. So in order now to say that the Abrahamic traditions that have demonized our own spirituality and culture, yes, we reject them, and them as relevant to our people because of said demonization. This is now being taken as an act of disrespect. That the tradition that teaches us to hate things African, and what's it called? That we are now wrong and disrespectful for those who adhere to that tradition for condemning it to hate things African. That's what I'm being told at the moment. I want you to know.
Hold on, Shakra. Hold on. So this is the thing. One second, Isa. And I'm also being told that when Hebrew brothers and sisters condemn Africa and African spirituality, and African spiritualists condemn the Hebrew tradition because of the fact that it condemns Africa and African spirituality, that we are wrong for doing so. That is an act of disrespect. That's what I'm being told at the moment. This is what I'm saying, where there has to be some separation and specifics. I'll be honest, if that conversation is going to go ahead. Because as I said before, from the Pan-African or Afrocentric Black nationalist perspective, it's a self-defense thing of coming to know yourself, because the hatred of ourselves was never, as far as I'm concerned, I know you said there may have been some separation. I've never known it to be separate from religion. So I went into the Bible and said the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, the driving force was the Kursi the Ham. Yeah, they're the people that are chosen and whatever else, and them lot can enslave us, devalue us, etc. So as far as I'm concerned, it's deeply rooted in their interpretation of the scripture, to the point where we disliked our own black complexion. So therefore, those people, this is why for me, I don't find myself hating my brothers that come out. This is why I personally make the distinction between Sunnism and Islam. I continuously do so because I know my black nationalist brothers have a important, justified gripe with these traditions. So
here's what I will do. Here's what I promise here to my Hebrew brothers. Here's what I promise to my Hebrew brothers and sisters. You don't see how I relate here, and I'm not gonna back a man just because he's on my thing, like and back disrespect to other brothers and sisters just because they're African spiritualists. Yeah, I've never been like that. I'll leave that to brothers and sisters who want to do that. I've seen people come on there and disrespect people, but because the person is dealing with what they're dealing with, they don't challenge them. I'm not that way inclined. But if there was a movement of African spiritualists that routinely disrespected Hebrew brothers and sisters, of course,
like MBK, right? Like knowledge.
Of course, I'll challenge it, right? However,
like MBK.
But anyway, right? But if there are brothers and sisters who are African spiritualists who are challenging the what's it called
Wait, what name did he just say?
Say that again.
Name did he just say?
I don't know what you're saying. You're interrupting me at the moment, right? What's it
called? MBK.
Yeah, MBK is a group of people on YouTube who are scholars who do research into things, and they have challenged
new black knowledge. They expose how the Hebrews and
they challenge the idea that the black people in America are Hebrews. Yeah, they affirm African identity, and they challenge the rejection of African identity by Hebrews.
And the whole hangout settle. And I had the whole hangout settle for years. Yeah, that was just there to disrespect Hebrews every day. Run jokes. This is
that's the problem. Is that
the NBK brothers and sisters deal with so many different topics. But if a group of Hebrews come and says, "You black people following this African thing, you are not African. Leave those traditions to those people thinking African." And the Hebrew and the NBK says, "Well, this is foolishness. Let's challenge this nonsense that these Hebrew brothers and sisters are putting out." And they go through research and say, "Well, we are African." That is not an act of disrespect.
When we do that to you now, it's not an act of disrespect. Then when we go through the African practices and we say, "What is this nonsense? What our people are dealing with?" The exact same thing. Let me speak. Yeah. When we do the same thing, yeah, and we go through the African practices and say it's not for our people, yeah, and we get me. We do the exact same thing as MBK. You ain't got a leg to stand on, and you can't even complain. Simple as that.
No problem. You found a justification for for justifying anti-African behavior. You're entitled to it.
Whatever, man. You see, forget it, man. Like, you just in denial. Yeah, you will never even admit that it's happening. Mordecai, talk to him.
I think the problem here is that we're trying to. We have a side that has historical merit.
The issue is there is no comparison to be made here, and a comparison is trying to be drawn. And I've already said that I don't deal with Africans disrespecting other Africans. Yeah, even if I don't agree with their doctrine, and I will I will certainly call that out. But to try and act like there's any equilibrium or comparison to be made between
there's a comparison.
Leave it alone. Don't try it. So that if you're
a comparison, we said it's happening, just like how you asked me. I said it's happening.
So then if you're not saying that, if you're not saying that, then if you're not saying that, the line of reason that we're going down at the moment, we don't have to go down. It's that.
I never went down that line of reasoning. You're the one taking it there to avoid what I'm talking about. Let me speak. He's taking it to this line of equal. He's taking it to this equal thing, to avoid what I'm actually talking about. All I said was, is it happening? And he couldn't even be honest enough in his heart to say, Yeah, it's happening.
No, you asked me if I've
done.
seen it, and I haven't seen it. I don't agree with you. I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you that MBK challenging the anti-African Hebrew propaganda, yeah, is disrespecting Hebrews. I don't agree with you.
Ezra, where's the example? Have you got an example of what they've said, Ezra?
Yeah, they had a whole hangout set up for it from now. Did all the Hebrews, yeah, and it was just bare disrespect, joke after joke, disrespect about Moses, disrespect about everybody. You get me? Everything they could say they did. You get me? But yet Shaka's gonna like, because he hasn't seen it. It doesn't.
Is it on YouTube right now?
Yeah, in fact, none of my Hebrew brothers and sisters are none of
you go on to Sarah and look at some of the disrespect that they do. You get me? Type in some of them so-called black conscious African spiritualist brothers here, and just watch the disrespect. You get me? Because I don't know what man are dealing with.
No, I mean, I mentioned the Armor Ra Squad and all of them because we used to be on the panel.
Garfield's never disrespected Hebrews, as he never.
Oh, but this is
talk about how fake the Israelites were.
Hold on, DC. What I'm saying is, it was the norm. My point
is known as the Hebrew slave.
Hold on, DC. Wait, DC. One sec. What my point is if there is a distinction being made, then I suggest that there be a distinction given when you're dealing with the people you're dealing with. Just like there is an expectation of us to justifiably not put all of the people in the same bandwagon when you say African spiritual tradition, and you say, oh, do you chop off people's arms and limbs and head to do spiritual rituals for money and all of them kind of thing? Just the same way where they're saying, I differentiate myself, like Ezra's saying he differentiates himself from those people that diss Africans, although I believe he does diss them, but I'm just saying he's making that statement.
I don't know why we're lying here. The fact of the matter is, yeah, all the people that are being mentioned, Garfield, Amin Ra Squad, MBK and them, they are all a part of an African-centered movement that are responding to anti-African propaganda. They didn't just jump out of a window and start dissing Hebrews. They're responding to an anti-African narrative, right? They're responding to an anti-African narrative. Now, if in defending African traditions and culture, they disrespect brothers and sisters, I can acknowledge where brothers and sisters are being disrespected, but I will not act as though MBK challenging the Hebrew propaganda is an act of disrespect. It's nonsense.
They don't dismiss the people, Shakra. That's where Ezra's vexed, because they don't dismiss the people they're talking to. They're also dissing the tradition as well.
He's saying now, when it's disrespect against him, it's disrespect, but when it's a disrespect against us, it's just challenging. Get me? This is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying, Ezra. That's what I'm saying, because the honesty with regards to what the propaganda that those movements, those Hebrew movements that have put out, yeah, is not being acknowledged right at the moment, and the fact that the brothers and sisters in question are responding to something. Yeah, they're responding to something, right? Normally, especially where Sarnetta is concerned, this is not a one-way street. Sarnetta has more Hebrews on his platform than anybody else.
And he gave Zach, and he done gave
right. You know what I'm saying? Right? All of these brothers, who's the
one that says dirty hammer?
Right? All of these brothers,
who's a Hebrew Israelite, gets the most respect.
All of those right?
Because he studies Medina and
all of these platforms. All of these platforms that are being mentioned are open to Hebrew brothers and sisters to come and bring their points and debate their points and have it out and all kinds of different things. It's not the same thing. So I'm not going to
Mordecai. I'm going to ask Brother Mordecai. Yeah. Let me ask Brother Mordecai. Yeah. Have you ever seen an African spiritualist or one of these Afro-conscious Kemite brothers here disrespect the Hebrews in any way?
Yeah, I have. I do it. Yeah.
Say it again.
There you go.
I do it all the time.
So forget it, man. It's like it's a stupid argument that the man's trying to make. Because to avoid the fact that it's happening, he's going to try and strawman in it and say, well, it's not equal. No one's saying it's equal.
You admit it wasn't equal, though. You agreed that it wasn't equal. Chakra just agreed.
Exactly. So why is it keep saying that?
So are we? Can we address the fact that it's not equal? Can we address?
Yes.
It? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we address the fact that it's happening first? Right. Can we address the fact that it's happening first?
in as much as Brother Brad has admitted to it, I can admit that it's happening. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we're gonna put Brad. Yeah. We're gonna put Brad. And whoever else you want to put, MBK, Sarnetta, and Garfield. Yeah. And them. Yeah. Up against laws that were passed. Yeah. By the British Empire. All right. Negating VOODOO and Obeah, as they refer to it, right? And all these kinds of things. We're gonna put all that up against. We're gonna put all that up against. We're gonna put all that up against. Yeah. Sorry, Ezra. In as much as I'm accepting that now. Yeah. Can we accept? Yeah. That all the groups that we're mentioning, including Brad, the brothers and sisters who deal with Kemet that appear on Sarnetta, MBK, Garfield, are responding to anti-African narratives that are being put out by the brothers and sisters. Can we acknowledge that?
Because the Hebrew Israelites have if the Hebrew Israelites
I can't hear what Ezra saying. Sorry.
Go ahead. In some cases, yes, they are responding. In some cases, they're not. They're just attacking.
In some cases. Oh, so you're saying so they're not dealing with. So I don't understand that. So there's a general narrative that is being put out, but sometimes they're responding to it, and sometimes they're not responding to it.
Sometimes they're just being disrespectful, and sometimes they're genuinely responding to criticism. Or
no. I'm saying even in their disrespect, I'm saying even when they're being disrespectful, are they responding to an anti-African narrative that
not always. No.
All right. Okay.
Can I ask
Right. Okay. Yeah? All right. Cool. Now let me ask you this, Ezra. Yeah. Do you know of any the most prominent institutions, let's say, around the platforms that you're talking about are the Kemetic shrines? Yeah. Do the brothers and sisters on those platforms criticize the Kemetic shrines?
Yes, religiously.
Yeah, they call it Kemetic Christians doing it though. You have to understand. Yeah, those Israelites are not criticizing Hamites doing.
No. Sorry, Ezra, you're misunderstanding my question. You're misunderstanding my question.
Answer for once, man. Why do you always just?
No, you missed his question, Ezra. You misunderstood his question.
You missed my question. I'm not talking about the Israelites now. I'm talking about the brothers. Sorry, you're not. Ezra, just listen to my question now. I'm not talking about the Israelites at the moment. I'm talking about the brothers and sisters who run the various platforms. Yeah, the Sarnetta them, the MBK them, yeah, the Reggie them. Do they critique the Kemetic shrines?
No.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what they do. That's why Reggie's hated amongst the Kemetic community. They watch the shit you're talking about.
I've never seen. One second. I've never seen Sarnetta.
Do you know Reggie now is teaching Hebrew stuff?
I said brothers and sisters on the various different platforms that you're talking about.
Oh, the brothers and sisters. Yeah. But I admitted it, Shaka.
Once again, not the Israelites, bro.
Can I speak now, fam? You just asked me a question, blood. Fuck, man. You're gonna keep. You have to. You can't just talk. Get me, fam. Let me speak sometimes, man. Get me? It's a conversation for a reason. Yeah. What I'm saying is, yes, I already admitted that it happens, though. Get me? And I didn't try and say it's equal. So all these arguments that you keep on bringing are irrelevant. You get me?
Ezra, he's not talking about Israelites. He said non-Israelites.
Let's move on.
Let me speak, man.
Let's move on because I don't think he understands.
I'm talking about the Israelites that go on those platforms. Yes, they
but that's not what he's asking you, though.
I'm not asking you about that.
That's talking about the platforms themselves. Yes, and I said I've never seen Sarnetta disrespect.
No, hold on, Ezra. Let me be in detail. So people like Uncle Ket, hold on. People like Garfield, people like Uncle Ket, and these other brothers that go on these other platforms who are non-Hebrew Israelites, do they criticize the Kemetic shrines? Do they criticize Jabari? Do they criticize M women?
Baba Haru.
M Fudinshi? Is it M Fudinshi?
Yes, they do.
They do whole shows on these people, bro.
Oh my God! You just made fun of Baba Haru singing.
Are you saying Jabari disrespects Kemetic shrines? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying Uncle Ket, who's a Pan-African or pro-black, whatever you want to call him. I'm saying he belongs to Amara Squad, and Garfield and all these lot are pro-African, so to speak. But they also criticize the Kemetic thing. like Jabari. They've been holding up Jabari all.
Oh yeah. I get that. Yeah.
All right.
They still,
that was the question. Right, so go from there.
Wait there. Those Armin Ra squad, are they still African spiritualists? Do they come under that umbrella?
No, actually, Garfield's a what you call it? Garfield's agnostic.
That's the question.
No, they're not
agnostic.
They don't come under African spiritualists.
No, that's incorrect.
No, African tradition. African tradition, but not spiritual.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Stop. You're all wrong. Can I answer the question, please? Some of them do, and some of them do not.
You like killing it.
No, I agree. But I'm talking about Unkaket, right? And Garfield, specifically Unkaket names himself the real black atheist.
He's an atheist. He's an atheist.
Right, so I'm saying the real black atheist.
Garfield does not adhere to a
He adheres to the Ashanti God. Ain't you seen him and Imam Bashir's debate? What are you on about, man?
No, but he's not. Garfield is not a practicing African spiritualist.
Well, he says he is.
Yeah,
so
he's not a practicing African spiritualist as well. He's not.
Well, he said he is.
He's not. But either way, bro. Either way,
He was before. He's not anymore. That's it.
Either way, the Kemetic shrines get critiqued. Right now, can I are you aware, Ezra, of a Kemetic shrine, that has a narrative which is a part of their faith tradition, that promotes a hatred for Hebrews and the idea that the Africans who identify as Hebrews or Hebrews in general are going to burn in hell and they're going to get condemned by God and they're going to be right. So show me the Kemetic shrines. Name them.
I showed mostly where it talks about Israel is defeated, their land is laid waste, and their seed is non-existent.
All right, we're gonna move on.
No, that's what evidence. You never heard of the Atmos delay. You see what I'm saying? Now evidence is coming. You gotta move on.
That was a good one. It was a good one, Ezra. It was a good one.
So you've not seen the Atmos.
Ezra, I'm just gonna congratulate you for that one. That was a good one. Well done. Congratulations. That was a good one. Well done. My man reached back here. My man reached back 2,000 years.
You must still follow that. The Kemetic people still follow them.
Well done.
Just because you're mix up and blend, some people still actually follow. Some people actually follow Kemetic.
Ezra, Ezra, I've got newfound ratings for your creativity today. Seriously, I really do. I really do. Seriously.
Man, I got straight back to the real thing.
No,
but that's for evidence, isn't it?
Seriously, no. Brer and Nancy has served us very well in Jamaica. I do affirm that categorically. So give thanks. Give thanks, brother Ezra. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Okay, so is there any more modern day examples? Anything modern, as was asked.
Anything modern?
Yeah.
Like
in the last 100 years, let's say. There you go.
Have Kemetic people shown hate towards Israel? That's what you're asking for evidence.
That's not the question. But we're gonna move on in it, Carl. He's not gonna answer it, bro. Like the reality is,
You asked for evidence. I gave you evidence. People still follow the Kemetic. Listen, are you saying that people don't follow the steles? Are you trying to say that people don't follow these Kemetic steles no more?
I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is we're gonna move on. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion.
All right, Shaka. Let me give you one. Remember the brother that come on your show, Chakra, right? You remember that brother?
If we were having this conversation, in all honesty and these things, that the conversation that we're having right now wouldn't even exist, because if we all accept that these things are not equal, then we would have a conversation about the reality on the ground, okay? And what is factoring in to a dominant sensibility in terms of the indoctrination of black people, coming through colonization, invasion, and slavery, okay? That is the only point I've ever made, right? That is the only point I've ever made, and
the point that I made is, it's happening on both sides. Yeah, we both need to go and teach. Let me speak. It's not fine. The point I made is it's happening on both sides. We both need to go and tell the people to stop it. Then maybe there might be a change. But Shaka tried to deny it's happening, so we're getting nowhere. Let's move on.